How's it going, guys? So yesterday we harvested our triticale. We didn't get it all done, but we got a bunch done. All the fields around home we can spread manure on now. We have another 60 acres we want to harvest later today. I'm gonna work at cleaning out the heifer barn for a while. See if we can get this done today while we're waiting to chop more rye. Get to use the old 4240 today. My dad's gonna rake that other triticale pretty soon with the 7220. I kind of forgot I can't back in until I'm well past this first fan. I need to stay outside a little bit longer. Turn these fans off while I'm working in here. That way if I would happen to get my boom up too high, which I'm not gonna do that, but if I would, then I wouldn't damage the fans quite as bad. For anybody that has a bed pack pen, I would highly recommend some ceiling fans. It is amazing the job those things do, keeping this thing dry. It's nice for the heifers to help keep them cool, and then also dry the bedding out. I haven't bed this pen in 3 weeks, and this is 10-month-old heifers. They're not going out to pasture in this group. Those all go out to pasture, so it's a little easier to keep dry. This pen's not even directly below a fan. Those pens are even drier. This one's right in between these two, and it still dries out really nicely. We got these fans from a company called Ameriwind, and then the controller auto vent automatically turns on and speeds up as it gets warmer. It's really nice. Got it cleaned out. Gonna put some corn fodder in. A little bit of sawdust for the youngest calves. That barn's cleaned out. It'll be good till this fall. With those ceiling fans, we don't add a lot of bedding, so it just doesn't build up very fast. I just climbed to the top of our silo. We finished filling last night. It's really windy outside. I'm trying to keep my camera out of the wind. Wanted to check how much it sank. Last night it was 12 rings from the top, so 48 feet. Just counted it now. It's actually 15 rings now. 60 feet from the top. We have a 132-foot silo, and it's only filled to 72 feet right now. We have 60 more acres. We're about to start chopping. That's easily gonna fit in here. We're not gonna be full. It'll be 3/4 full, maybe a little bit more. It's good, we got space. I'm gonna close this door now. There they are, everybody's back in their pens. Had some triticale that we harvested last night that was piled beside the blower. Gave that to the heifers this morning, so they got a little treat. Okay guys, it's a little after 5 now. I got the unloader running right now, loading feed into the tractor. My dad's raking, they just started chopping. So I'm gonna set our water hose up again. It's not enough water to affect the moisture of the feed going in. It just helps everything flow through that blower a little bit better. Keeps it from gumming up. They should be here very soon with the first load. I just need a couple more pounds of the rye out of the silo from last year. So right now we have about 8 foot of rye still in this stave silo. It's quite a bit of feed still. It's really good stuff. So the issue we're having is we don't really want to feed this silo and the new silo at the same time. I better shut this off. If we set this new silo unloader up now as soon as we're done harvesting and start feeding it, we're going to back way down on the rate out of this silo, and we won't really be feeding enough out of either silo to keep them fresh. And it might take 6 or 8 weeks until we get everything going, and then we're fully out of that silo. We're going to avoid doing that. The plan is just to cover that silo after we get it full. Well, it's not going to be full, but after we're done harvesting. We're planning to keep feeding out of this one until it's empty, and then start feeding out of the new one. I got the unloader turned on, making sure it's rotating. It takes about 7 minutes for it to fully circle, so it's not very obvious when it's spinning. If you saw the last video, this is our unloader lifted to the top of the silo. It's got a distributor there, so the feed's coming in the middle of the silo and it's shooting it out towards the edges, out against the walls. Just gives you a more even packing, and you get more in the silo. It's better for your silo too because of the even packing against the walls all the way around. They've been running for a couple hours. I was finishing up the feeding and a couple other little things I had to do. This field was a soybean field last year. We got it planted a little bit later in the fall. Still a pretty good crop for being planted October 15th, but this is one of the lighter fields. Stuff just got dry on us this year. It just, every day has been breezy, sunny. Some years it's such a struggle to get it dry. Now this year, very easy. My dad's raking this last field now. Checking on the unloader. Still looks like it's rotating. It's about 9:15 now. They got about 15 acres to go. So I got our plastic. This is a round piece of plastic that'll fit in a 24-foot silo. The neighbor Mike is gonna help me climb the silo and level it off. I'm gonna hook our little International tractor up to our blower. We probably don't need it, but just to be safe, we'll throw some air up in the silo. I wanna be on the safe side with any silo gases that could be up there, and I don't know. I just like to have some air coming in. Feel better about it. We could not get feed to the top of the silo with this blower, but it does work as a fan just to get some air up there, so that's why we have it around. They're gonna get their blower out of there in a second, and I'll bring ours in. Alright, gonna head up. So we'll go up the indoor chute, see how full it is. Made it up to the door that I could open. Here we are. Hey, we're not too far from the top. It's respectable. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rings. 24 feet from the top. So right now we're right at 108 feet off the ground. 108 foot. It's underneath my feet. That is pretty satisfying. So right now we have the blower running, just throwing some air up, getting some fresh air in here, just to be safe. Probably will get some off-gassing from this stuff once it starts to ferment, and that would not be healthy. Corn silage is much worse, but this crop, yeah, we want to be careful either way. Dad just fired it up a little more. So I got Micah coming up to help me. We're gonna level this all out. You can see it's pretty even. So we're gonna make it flat and then we'll get it covered. We're getting there. It's nice. You have these lines around the silo every 4 feet, so you know actually when it's level, have something to compare it to. I just gotta take a little bit more that direction. Got a trench dug around the sides. Now we're gonna pull the plastic out. So this isn't really ideal. We're gonna get some spoilage on top, but we're gonna open this in just a couple weeks. So we'll throw a little bit out and get rid of it, but most of it, 99.9% of the feed in this silo will be good to go. Mike is climbing down now. I'm waiting for him to get down until I get in the chute. Once we got it leveled off, we're 7 rings from the top. Now it's gonna settle more the next couple days, but we know we got space, but we also are using most of the silo, so it's a good feeling. For feed freshness, the best thing is just to get your unloader going right away, start taking feed out, get rid of this loose stuff on top. Since we still have 50 tons of rye from last year, plus a little bit of haylage in the harvest store that we're giving to the heifers right now, we just can't keep up with everything. The other good thing is we're not giving green feed to the cows. It's not really ideal to give this green triticale to them. It's good to let it ferment at least a little bit. We'll see how it goes. Maybe we'll have a bunch of spoilage and we'll decide never to do this again. I don't know. Gotta learn somehow. All right, I'm gonna climb down now and go to bed. It's almost 12 o'clock. Ended up being 147 loads total. All right guys, it's the next morning. Last night we got it filled up and the line was right there, 7 rings from the top. Feels good to have that harvest done. Now it's time for me to get to planting everything. We decided we're gonna start with our soybeans, get them done, and then switch to corn and do all the corn. But with the soybeans, I wanna spray them before I get to planting. Okay, I got the sprayer loaded up. Got a full tank, 750 gallons. I made it to this rented farm. We just harvested this stuff last night. We're gonna put this herbicide down first so that I don't have to worry about trying to spray after we plant and damaging the seeds or the little soybeans if they do start to grow. I'm spraying 6 ounces of Metribuzin and 6 ounces of Authority XL. I'm running 20 gallons per acre. I usually spray 15 gallons per acre, but a little bit more water will help this stuff get down to the ground. And it's just a preventative spray. It's going to keep the weeds from ever growing. Got to fill up again. They're pouring the second ring on the silo for today. They are up over 100 feet now. I didn't count, but getting close to the top. I guess my water tank just got full. Perfect timing. I'm only halfway done with the second batch of spray. I just stopped for a minute because the manure hauling guys are going to be here very soon. Pouring concrete again. They were scheduled for tomorrow, but we got the crop in so they can haul anytime. Might as well get it done today. I just got some simple maps I'm going to hand them with the fields highlighted that I want them to spread on. So we don't have enough manure to spread on everything. We're not going to put it on the fields that are getting soybeans, just the ones that are getting corn. I wanted to open all these lids up, check how much manure is in the pit so I can tell them what rate to spread. I don't think we can quite go full rate. This one I know is going to be up to half. That one's half. If you're not familiar with our setup, we have the slatted floor in the dairy barn. There's an 8-foot pit under the whole thing. There's these 3 different sections you can pump manure out of. There's a wall between them, but that wall has a window halfway up, so you can take half the pit out from one of the pits. Then you have to drop into each one to get the pit completely empty. This one is, that's close to half too. Yeah, that one's not very full. A couple feet in there. I'm guessing we have around 400,000 gallons in the pit. It works out to 6,500 gallons per acre. So I'll tell them to go at that rate. I'll keep the maps with me and keep an eye out for them, and then when they get here I can talk to them. This second silo is going up so much faster than the first one. For one thing, I'm not watching it quite as much because I kind of know what it's going to look like now, but they've been working every single day. There hasn't been rain. It's not cold anymore, so they're not waiting some days like they were on the first one. 2 of them beside each other. That's a different look there. That's cool. Dad's hauling some more dry manure. I'm gonna start on these fields right across from the home place. That field right there was a soybean field last year, up to that line right there. And we put triticale in both of these fields, but I didn't want to forget where the line was between them. So I left a foot or 2 gap there with the drill in the fall. That worked out pretty well. I can still see the edge easily. Alright, I moved over to the home farm now. Gonna have soybeans in these fields instead of alfalfa this year for the first time. Haven't seen the liquid manure haulers yet. Probably any second. Dad just called me and said the spreader showed up. Just driving over, I'm gonna talk to him. My dad's starting to haul this big pile out behind the freestall. So he's gonna get set up. Everybody's got a power unit in this video. Spreading right there. I'm spraying the bean fields, he's spreading on the corn fields, so it works out. Getting a little smellier out here. I got the spraying wrapped up. About as close to hauling as you're gonna have right there, about 20 feet from the pump. It's the next day now, and I'm getting the corn planter ready to go. Well, I don't have the corn planter out yet, but getting the soybean seed meters ready. Gotta get them onto the boxes. We're planting 2 different varieties of soybeans. Both of them are the Plenish beans from Pioneer, but the 2 varieties have different seed sizes for whatever reason. So the ones we want to start with, it's a bigger bean. We got to switch the plates, put these 48 cell seed plates on the meters. Normally we run 60 cell plates, which we already had them off for the winter, so it's not a big deal. We had to put plates on anyway. We're gonna change the brushes in these bean meters. Seem like they're getting a little bit beat up. These are the 60 cell plates we normally use. Just see the size difference there for each of the beans. Some of these brushes aren't in terrible shape, but I'd rather change them before they start giving issues. So these meters, the seeds will be falling in against these plates, and as they're spinning, the brushes just push every other seed away, so you have one seed per slot. The one time I wasn't keeping after these brushes, and then extra seed was making its way through, and we had a really high rate in the one field, so we realized the brushes were bad. It's a completely different meter for corn and soybeans. Soybeans are a lot higher rate. It's a different seed shape too. The corn meters are a lot more precise. We want a corn plant every 6 or 7 inches very precisely, whereas the beans, they're a little bit faster. You still want it to be metering accurately. It's just not going to be like that picket fence, really even seeding like the corn needs to be. We plant about 140,000 seeds per acre for soybeans, and then corn's about 30,000. So I'm gonna get these all changed, put on there. We'll be ready to go soon. We have a barn to clean out at the heifers. Dad's gonna work at hauling that. I'm gonna take the tractor there for him. I have the chains off of the liquid squeeze pumps because we're not going to run any liquid fertilizer on the soybeans. The 2x2 runs through these conceal knives. You can adjust these up to plant soybeans so they're out of the ground, but I'm not going to bother because it's kind of a pain, I think, to change them, and they're set right. I'm just going to let them go. Hopefully the ends don't get plugged up with dirt. I'm ready to lay the seed boxes on. We had the planter in the shop this winter, went over everything. It's already greased and oiled the chains. It's got new opener discs on it. Get to break these in. They still got the black paint on them. I noticed these tires are losing some air, so I need to fill those up. I'm gonna go get some seeds. So these are the seed boxes in the front, then these boxes in the back, they're for dry insecticide. I've never once used them. We don't need to run insecticide because we plant GMO corn. I'm gonna grab some seed. Dad's got the skid steer at the other farm, so I'm just gonna throw some onto the Kubota by hand, take them over. Half of it is the bigger beans. I want to start with those. This is treated seed, that's why it's the green color, and it actually has some inoculant on it already. Soybeans need inoculant to help develop the roots so it can pull nitrogen from the air. I don't know exactly how the process works. It wouldn't hurt to have some extra inoculant on some of these fields that haven't had soybeans ever or in a very long time. Now I just need to set the rate on the planter. Just got these charts with different sizes of sprockets we can change right here to give us different speeds. Normally I use the 60 cell chart, but we're going to use the 48 cell now. This planter tends to run heavy. I'm going to set it up for 120 to start. We'll see how it ends up. I always double check it. 25 drive, 23 driven. So that's set up now. Last thing we need to do now is set the depth. Let me go lift the planter up and then we'll get the depth set where I think it needs to be, and we'll have to check it in the field. With soybeans, we're gonna shoot for 1.5 inches on the depth. When you move this front and back, it adjusts how much these gauge wheels can rise. Got your opener disc there that's gonna cut the trench. Seed drops out right inside of here. Then we got the seed firmer and closing wheels. This will close the ground back up after you get the seed in there. So I gotta tighten the springs on these two. Want some good pressure. I'm not sure if I mentioned earlier why we're starting with soybeans. Soybeans benefit a little bit more from the early planting, from what I understand. It's something with catching the longer days at the end of June, getting the plants a little bit more mature by that point so they can take advantage of that sunlight. We want to get the corn in too. Just decided we're gonna get the soybeans done, get that out of the way, let them do their thing, and then focus on corn after. So it shouldn't take us too long once we get rolling with the soybeans. A couple good days and that'll be it, I think. I'm gonna start on these little strips out behind the silos, behind the heifer barn. In my lifetime, I don't think we've ever had soybeans in these fields. It's always been a corn and alfalfa rotation. Now that we're getting out of alfalfa, every other year we're gonna rotate these. Got this monitor in the cab. This is just gonna tell us when seed is flowing through and beep if something stops. Let's go back here and dig some seeds up, see how deep they are. Ground is nice and dry. It's not ideal planting conditions, but this is way better to me than going through and plowing this stubble up from the triticale. I'm finding them here. Right there you can see we're looking at, I mean that's right at that 1.5 inch range. But you can see how soft this soil is in here. When the ground's nice and fit like this, the walls of that seed trench that the discs make, they're still soft, and then when the closing wheel goes through, it just breaks it all up and you get good seed to soil contact. You don't want a bunch of air pockets and hard soil around that seed. Up there I see a seed on top for whatever reason. That shouldn't be happening, but let's look here more. Okay, I did set it a little bit deeper. I'm gonna check again. Some of them weren't as deep as that one section, so I don't know. Hopefully I have enough down pressure to push these, and maybe these discs just need to get warmed up a little bit and they'll start falling into the soil a little bit better. I don't know. It's working pretty well some spots, but I'm finding some inconsistency with how the seeds are getting in the ground. When it tries to plant over right on top of the row of triticale, it doesn't cut through that root mass the best. I changed the settings, I set it a little bit deeper again. I did just go check it now, and all the seeds are getting in the ground and are close to the right depth. I'm wondering if once we get going a little bit and those opener discs just get a little bit of wear, get the paint wore off of them, they might start cutting through a little bit better. I think with them being brand new, they were kind of just not sharpened down very well. That's my theory. I don't know. We'll see. All right, I'm gonna run a little bit. We'll see how it goes. So I'm still finding some seeds on top, not satisfied with it. I just called my planter guy, the guy I buy the soybean seeds off of. He said we gotta get some more weight on the planter. So what we're dealing with right now is I can adjust my depth right here, which allows these gauge wheels to rise up more. But if you don't have enough pressure pushing down, then it's not gonna push those discs into the ground either way. What we're gonna do is try to get some more weight on the whole planter. So I'm gonna put water in the tanks, put something in these boxes as well. We're not using these. These don't run. I don't have these chains hooked up. So I think what we're gonna do is just fill them with stones. So we'll get some use out of these boxes after all, I guess. If you ever wonder why some guys have so many rocks in their fields, they do stuff like this and then they forget to take the chains off, so then it runs it out, and these guys would grow to be big rocks in just a couple years with our fertile soils. I added about 300 gallons of water to the main frame of the planter, so that's like 3,000 pounds. And then I put a little bit of weight on each of the rows in the back too, so I'm confident we're gonna see a difference. Yep, my gauge wheels are on the ground. That's a good sign. Before I could just spin these on some of the rows every time I check, but they are against. These row units are separate from the frame. They pivot here, and then there's springs. Frame was too light, so it was just lifting the whole planter up. Pretty confident that this is gonna be looking better now. Yeah, we're definitely planting on deep enough now. 1.5 inches right there. Yeah, that's good. That's way better than it was. I'm happy. Even in the toughest spots, it's still getting them 1 inch underground. I just loaded up the planter again. And we have someone in doing a little bit of vertical tillage for us. Decided just to get the old alfalfa fields tilled up there because there's some chickweed. We put a bunch of box manure on it over the winter too, and thought it'd be good to just till it up a little bit. Just grabbed my lunch too, my wife put together for me. I really appreciate that. Thought about getting him to do some of the triticale stubble fields, but this ground is just too hard. Glad we found a solution for the planter. I'm not using GPS guidance at all to plant. We just use the marker arms. Just creates a mark there for my next pass. It's the next morning, back in the planter again. We have over 40 acres planted. It's going pretty well. So it's kind of cool. A week ago today I was mowing this field, and so within a week we have another crop planted. Take advantage of the full year, full growing season. Soybeans end up being a pretty profitable crop for us because we're double cropping, but we still get a full season basically. We're still planting in April. Even though we already got 8 tons per acre of triticale harvested off this land, now we're going back in. We'll be able to get a full season soybean in. My goal this year is 70 bushel per acre soybeans. I think we can get there. We're going to try to do a better job with weed control, and we've had good yields in the past. It just depends. Seems like soybeans you can't really control too well. Some years they do better than others. They got that manure hold yesterday. This was the only bean field they put some manure on because we wanted to get the manure pit empty. We had a little bit left, so we covered this one field. We'll see if the soybeans do better in this field with some manure on it. As you can see, we've gone through some bags of soybean seed. I got through the half of the beans that were the bigger seeds. Now we're moving to these. It's just slightly smaller soybeans, so I can put my old plates back on it. This will be nice because I'll be able to get some more seeds in the planter. I won't have to refill as often.